Right, welcome back, guys, to
Welcome
season
back.
3 of Fly High Media Talks. This is episode 1. As you can see, we've changed up the set a little
Really
bit more.
excited to be back.
We've got even more professional gear behind the cameras. Hopefully, it's not as dark as it was before.
It was really dark, wasn't it?
It was really dark. There was some. I don't know how you guys. Hopefully, you were listening on Spotify or something. But yeah, no, some of them were really bad. But we're improving. We're improving, guys. Video is not really our thing that much, but we're improving. But as you can see, we've got a nice little I don't know how to describe, but a nice little sort of a feature image. Don't worry, that's not the thumbnail. Thumbnail's a little bit more professional, but we just thought we'd throw something else up there just to remind you of what we're talking about today, and I'm going to go into that in a second, and where you can find the podcast, whether it's on YouTube, on Spotify, or on the Apple Podcasts app, which is used to be called iTunes. I don't know what they're doing with that. Either way, yeah, there's got Matt can't believe that I'm throwing chairs around. This is a fun photo shoot we had for thumbnails a couple of months ago, and we just never got a chance to use. To be honest, I never got a chance to use one of me throwing a chair around, so I had to put it somewhere.
We wanted to use it, don't we?
So we wanted to be a little bit more quirky on the fun side, so that's why I stuck it in here. But yeah, let's just carry on with it. So welcome back to the podcast. Today we're going to be chatting about PPC versus SEO. So if you don't know, pay-per-click campaigns versus search engine optimization. One's a short-term solution, one's a long-term solution. You know, one's going to bring you free results. One you're going to have to pay for every single click you get. And if you want to find out more, you're going to have to listen after this intro. So I'll see you on the other side.
Let's jump right into it. So let's discuss some of the positives and negatives of SEO and pay-per-click advertising. So they're both very different and they're both very similar as well. So for both of them, you can advertise in search engines, but for paid ads, you can also advertise on YouTube and
side banners, any website essentially. Most websites these days, sort of magazines, things like that, tend to accept PPC ads.
Yeah, anything in Google Display Network. So yeah, there's a mix, and but both are good for both reasons. So just like to start with PPC really. So the main benefit and the main reason that people use PPC is because it is instant traffic. So it's a quick way to get traffic to your website. So essentially, once you start paying for the traffic, essentially it comes to your website as quickly, a lot quicker than SEO traffic. So search engine.
Yeah, it's instant.
It's pretty instant. Yeah, as long as the ads that you create are of high quality and it's better than the competition, then you're likely to have traffic to your website quickly. So the targeting on the pay-per-click ads are very good as well. So you can target similar websites. On YouTube videos, essentially, you can steal people's traffic. So if somebody's looking up a video about bicycles, so if they're looking up a different branded bike, you can essentially put your bike in front of the audience before that other bike. So if someone's doing a review of one bike, you can put yours in front of the other.
What you'll see a lot of the time is, for example, if you search for who was it recently that I saw? I think was it Basecamp?
It was Basecamp. This is a good story, this one.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah,
Wasn't
it's a good story.
I can't remember who it was. It was another company like Basecamp.
It was a big company.
Let's say like Trello or something. I don't think it was Trello, but let's say it was Trello.
Yeah.
What they did was they started bidding for the keyword Basecamp, and when people started searching for Basecamp, their competitors were right at the top because they were willing to pay more money for it because Basecamp's more popular. And what then Basecamp came out basically and said that this is sort of strong arming companies into having to pay for their own branded keywords, which they have copyrighted, which is makes sense, but at the same time, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've worked on campaigns where we target competitors and things like that. It's just a standard thing to do. So that's one of the biggest benefits of the targeting. So you can actually target competitors for their own brand keywords, especially if they're bigger than you. If you're a smaller player in your niche, you're at a huge advantage because you can basically, I don't want to use the word, but it is leech off other people's search traffic essentially. Obviously, you have to pay for it, but still.
Yeah, I mean it is pay to play at the end of the day, isn't it? If you can afford to pay for the big branded keywords and outbid your competitors, then
why not?
It's a case of doing it. It's just a case of who's got the biggest budget, really. So, that's one of the big reasons, and bigger brands use the bidding on brand keywords as a thing. So Another big benefit to PPC is you're only paying for it once you're actually using it. So with SEO,
hence pay per click.
Hence pay per click, yeah. So you can turn a pay per click campaign off whenever you want. So if it's getting too expensive, or so if your cost per click's too high or your cost per acquisition's too high, you can just stop it straight away.
What you would normally do, what we would do with a managed campaign is we'd sort of cap the budget for a week,
cap the budget or at least pause it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's quick to do. It's a lot easier and direct to track the direct ROI in a short space of time.
It is, because what you can do is you can jump into, you can see what ad got you the most clicks, what ad got you the most conversions, and then the ones that are at the bottom and you're still spending money on them, you can see what's taken budget this month but hasn't brought any return on investment. So yeah, it is, you can track to the T pretty much exactly which ad, and you can pretty much, if it's display advertising, you can track it from exactly which website it came from, I think, if I'm not wrong as well.
Yeah, so, and the placement as well. So,
placement of it, yeah.
So like coming from mobile apps, what type of websites, that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, a disadvantage, so on the flip side of everything, even though it's targeted, even though you get into a good audience quickly, a big disadvantage is it can get quite expensive quite quickly.
It can, yeah, and it's one of those things where we unfortunately see it a lot where people rely solely on PPC and they don't have any other strategy in place. That's why we're sort of coupling PPC and SEO together, because it's good to have one, it's good to have the other, but it's even better to have both at the same time. Because if you're only relying on pay-per-click traffic, you have to spend money to get those leads in, and if something happens in your business and you can't spend that money 1 month, for example, all of your traffic stops. Mm-hmm. It's not like you have another strategy in place to bring that in. So yeah, it's an unfortunate one if you're relying solely on it.
You can't really rely on any channel really.
No, you shouldn't.
You know, when you so we'll go over SEO in a minute, but with pay per click, like we say, like it's renting versus a mortgage. So once you've bought your house, then it's yours to keep. Whereas if you're renting, you don't pay your rent, then you get kicked out.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, so like pay per click's like a more short term solution if you're looking for quick traffic quickly. But I mean, it can be integrated with another search marketing strategy as well. So it still can pay off in the long term, and you know they work together nicely.
Oh
so,
yeah, absolutely.
Especially for retargeting as well. So retargeting on different websites, on banner ads, that's really quite effective.
I'll jump into SEO. Like I said, it's best if you can have both, because you know that's going to allow you to get traffic from paid search and from organic search at the same time. But essentially, the biggest benefit of SEO is it's free traffic. Apart from potentially hiring an agency or freelancer, learning to do it yourself, investing the time, you don't have to invest anything for every single click, every single month or anything like that. Yeah. So that's why we call it free traffic, and that's like Matt said, it's like buying a house. Once you've paid off the mortgage, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to pay the bill every month. So that's the big benefit of it, and it's not like you can turn it off. So another big benefit of SEO is it's a long-term strategy. With pay-per-click, obviously you turn it on straight away and it works like that. With SEO, it doesn't work like that. I mean, we'll jump into some of the drawbacks in a minute, but the biggest benefit is that you can't really turn it off 3 months down the line, 4 months or 6 months down the line. It's not something that will ever stop unless you do something really, really bad to your website, or someone does something really bad to your website, or you don't maintain it properly. It's not just going to go from 10,000 traffic a month to 2. If you're doing that, something has to go drastically wrong for that to happen. So it is something that once you invest in it, it's going to keep on rising if you're managing it properly, or at the very least, it's going to stay in place. And keep serving you. So yeah, definitely good to invest in SEO if you're looking for the long-term strategy as opposed to short-term. In terms of looking at the stats, and that's not just us talking, that's looking at the industry. I can't remember the exact stat, but organic results get much more clicks than PPC.
Yeah.
Even though PPC can be a little bit more targeted, but organic, because people trust it more than ads, right? I think people are trying to filter out sort of what's an ad, what's not an ad these days, because people know they prefer to click what's not been paid to be put in front of them. Yeah. Organic results, I think, is something like 80-20, the ratio, something like that.
Yeah,
70-30, 80-20. Organic ads are much more reliant, and people see them as a lot more reliable, basically.
Especially in search ads,
especially in search ads, yeah.
But like it's good to be integrated because like if you've got traffic, if you've got traffic from cold traffic from
exactly. Well, if you the best scenario is somebody types in something that you're selling and you're top for pay per click and you're top for all the first organic results as well. Obviously, that's going to be expensive because you have to be at the top. You have to outbid everyone. And at the same time, you have to put in the effort and the time and the commitment to be at the top of the organic results. But that comes with again implementing that long-term strategy. So those are the main benefits of SEO. Obviously, there are drawbacks. There aren't massive drawbacks, but it's something to consider. So if you want instant traffic, SEO is not for you. If you want traffic tomorrow, go for pay-per-click. Mm-hmm. Like I said, it's a long-term strategy. It's not something that will work overnight.
There's one thing that I think that can work overnight, and it comes under the umbrella of SEO, and that's conversion rate optimization. So, if technically, it's not going to improve your rankings overnight because that's pretty much impossible. But conversion rate optimization comes under the umbrella of SEO. So, if you hire an SEO agency, you may change things.
So just to clarify, CRO is things like, for example, on the website, if there's no form on the page. So conversion, making sure people that once they get to the website, they have an easy way to actually get in touch with you, because you can drive all the traffic to a website. If there's no way for them to get in touch with you, it's useless.
Yeah, so absolutely. So you can be getting thousands and thousands of hits on the site, but if there's not a clear call to action and a simple call to action and a streamlined process, then it's difficult for people to actually convert. So there is little changes that you can do overnight, and they can make differences, but the proper differences come after months, weeks, and months of doing things consistently.
And that brings me to my next point. I don't know if it's a drawback. I mean, it's a drawback if you want instant traffic, but I've put it down as a drawback because it does take effort and commitment and time. So the shortest space of time that we take on an SEO campaign project for is 3 months, because that's the absolute bare minimum. And 99% of the time they extend to 6 to 12 months because there's some results there after 3 months and we have to extend it. So SEO won't start working in a couple of weeks. It is something that very much so you have to put commitment and time and effort into. It also requires a lot of research. So the amount of spreadsheets, of directory entries, listings, filtering, things like that, it does take a lot of planning and research. So it's not something that you can dive straight into. A lot of it is, I don't want to say boring, it is a little bit more tedious than sort of putting together PPC ads. But it is something that you have to sit there and do a little bit of research for, and actually start understanding your market and competitors and things like that. So it's not the sexiest thing, but there's certain processes with an SEO strategy that you have to implement over time, and it's not something that you do half an hour. It's something you have to implement over time, and that can be sometimes quite tedious. But if you put the planning and the research in, then you're all set for having success in the next sort of 6 to 8 to 12 months. And the last thing is you have to be kept on your toes a little bit, because Google algorithms, they can cause a storm overnight. And we've seen it on campaigns, like if we hadn't been on our toes and managed everything properly and made sure that things are kept up to date. With the new algorithms, then campaigns would have easily tanked. Things that we've worked on for the past 6 months could have literally just gone like that. I don't want to say overnight, but over a space of a month, for example. So make sure you're staying on top of what Google's releasing, what news they have, what they're Google never change something like that. They're always going to be announcing something that they're going to be testing things and things like that. I know it's released some information, so but it's up to you also to test things. So. Be aware that Google might sort of want to throw a spanner in the works here and there a little bit. Not to spite anyone, obviously to make the platform better, but it comes at a disadvantage to some of us that are trying to put something in place. So those are it. I mean,
it's difficult, but at the same time, it's quite rewarding, isn't it? At the end of it, because it's sustainable results.
Definitely. Essentially, especially as we can, for example, if we send a PPC report out saying, okay, you spent this much this month, and we got you this much back, and it's fantastic, but you still had to spend that in the first place. There's obviously ROI there, but you still have to spend that in the first place. Whereas with SEO, it's really satisfying to go and it's you didn't have to spend any money on getting any of this traffic, and month on month it's growing. Even after we've gone after 6 months or something, we've implemented that strategy. We've given you a plan to keep in place to maintain it long after we've gone, potentially, if you're doing the right things that we told you to do. that's going to carry on. That's going to carry on, multiplying each month. So yeah, it's really satisfying when you can get sort of free traffic once you've paid off that mortgage. I don't know if there's any of our listeners that have paid off a mortgage, you know how that feels. It's a little bit like that when results start kicking in from SEO, and those renters out there. It's going to be a cold winter. All right, okay. Let's end on that note. If you guys have any questions in terms of PPC, SEO, or any other topics, you know how it works. This is season 3 now. Drop us a comment, drop Matt a message or me a message, and we'll jump on the topic straight away after. So see you guys soon.